revelations to justify the contemptible execution of a British Iranian, Ali Reza Akbari, who had been detained since 2009 on suspicion of spying. In a really shocking and terrible tweet today, the Iranian Foreign Ministry said the British regime, whose royal family member sees the killing of 25 innocent people as removal of chess pieces and has no regrets over the issue, and those who turn a blind eye to this war crime are in no position to preach others on human rights. Now, Megyn, look, obviously, I condemn this killing, and the way the Iranian regime has tried to invoke Harry is shameful. But is this why the Duke of Sussex really does need to accept that his Taliban kill count revelation was highly irresponsible? Because you'll remember, Megyn, when he went on the Stephen Colbert show, he said, it's nothing to do with the revelation that's irresponsible. It's just the way that the British press have reported on it that is irresponsible.
There's no question, first of all, that Iran is a terrible regime, and they probably would have done this without any comments by Prince Harry. They're executing gay people just for being gay. All right, so that's who we're dealing with here. However, there's also no question that Harry's handed them a talking point. He's handed this disgusting regime a talking point, and it's already being used, not just by Iran, but do a Google search. Half the Taliban has weighed in on this. You got articles in the British press talking about the Taliban saying, I'm sick of Prince Harry and my Facebook feed and all of his comments about killing the Taliban members over here in Afghanistan. I mean, like, when you've caused that to happen, you've misstepped. And what Harry doesn't realize is, again, that he's a public figure. That means people can say negative things about you, so stop complaining about your press. But it also means that you may have a heightened responsibility when it comes to your rhetoric. And you should be careful about what you say when you're in a role like the one he has, because people can get hurt and tempers can flare. And you actually do have the power, through no accomplishment of your own, just through birthright, to actually influence international relations. And you should wield that power very carefully. And he didn't. And rather than just take the responsibility and say, I apologize, this was my intention, I see now it was poorly executed, he tried to blame the British press, again, who he blames for everything, by saying, it's not my remarks, it's the spin on the remarks. They said I was boasting about 25 kills, and I wasn't. Well, if you look at what the Iranian regime used as their talking point, it wasn't even the 25. It was what he said about they're just chess pieces on the board. Nobody spun that. Harry said that. He said it irresponsibly, and it's now being used. And the smart move for him is just to take responsibility. But since you and I both know he never does that, it's not going to happen here.
No, indeed. Now, look, close to you, Megyn, the Sussexes reportedly not welcome at the weekend's BAFTA Tea Party and LA Awards season highlight. That was on account, apparently, of Prince William being president of the organisation. But that said, the couple's influence in Hollywood remains chillingly strong. So their latest arch nemesis, Jeremy Clarkson, had a real hell of a day yesterday. Amazon reportedly dropped his series Clarkson's Farm Underground tour mere hours before Harry and Meghan slapped him down for his apology for that controversial column on the Duchess. Although, of course, this wasn't the first time they've publicly condemned the former Top Gear host.
Recently, which I know you know about, the Jeremy Clarkson article. So not only did what he said was horrific and is hurtful and cruel towards my wife, but it also encourages other people around the UK and around the world, men particularly, to go and think that it's acceptable to treat women that way.
So, Megyn, I'm fascinated to know what you think about this, because my opinion is that Clarkson should never have apologised, because they have simply used that apology to try and cancel him, to finish his career forevermore.
And it looks like they may be succeeding, as he's apparently reportedly losing his TV deals, though hasn't been fired as a columnist yet. I agree. Look, he's not like Prince Harry. He's a much smaller public figure. So he also has a responsibility to be careful in what he says in print, right? His column is not like a comment on Twitter or a passing
And I disagreed
remark.
with what he said in the column. Absolutely,
Of course.
I did.
I mean, Alyssa, let's not overstate it, though. It was a Game of Thrones reference. That's obviously
and it was
what
a joke.
it was.
It was a joke gone wrong.
It was a joke. Exactly. So, I mean, I realize we're supposed to pretend that we're getting the vapors from his comments, but most people aren't. Most people are like, okay, that was kind of rude, and they move on with their lives and don't want to see the guy's career destroyed because of it. Only these woke leftists who are trying to word police everybody over much smaller sins than this one are the ones who pretend to be offended. Okay, so there's that. But can I just say this? What an opportunity Megyn and Harry missed by not accepting the guy's apology. They had a chance for once to look like the bigger people.
Yeah.
And they blew it. They can't. They've got to take the dog's nose and rub it in the excrement because that's who they are. They want to see him suffer. You only sent the email to Harry. Well, the guy says he sent it to both of them. I don't know if he maybe just had Harry's email only, but he claims he addressed it to both of them. You have a long line of abuse against us. Well, if you look at his writings about Megyn, he was actually on her side for a long time and then turned, like most of us did, after the Oprah thing and the why didn't anybody ask how I am thing in Africa. So he's had an evolution on her to which he's entitled. But they want him to apologize for being him, right? They want him canceled because he writes the way he really feels and it's not always kind to her. I'm sure they'd love to see you canceled and me canceled.
Oh, yeah.
Well, guess what? It's not going to happen. So anyway, I don't know whether his apology could have saved him or otherwise, but it was being given to the wrong people because they are small. And
well, indeed, but I think what you point out, though, that is so critical is that they have actually made a strategic error here. Because remember, you've got King Charles at Clarence House and Prince William at Kensington Palace watching all of this develop and thinking, how the hell do we deal with these two? We have lots of our advisors saying we've got to reconcile before the coronation. And they're now going to look at the way that they've treated the Clarkson apology and think, hang on a moment, actually, they could do the same thing to us.
Yeah. Oh, you know, Dan, there's a saying, you teach people how to treat you. And the royal family, if they invite these two to the coronation, they will be teaching them that they can do whatever the heck they want. So honestly, if they do that and if they welcome this pair back into the royal family, they deserve what they get. They deserve. I'll have no sympathy for the royal family if Megyn and Harry go on criticizing them after this and use new information from new private meetings in the press. They deserve it. They must like it. If they're going to continue going on like this, I mean, how long can you look at them as abuse victims if they continue to welcome it into their lives? This is the point at which they need to draw the hard line and say it's done. This is effectively an abusive relationship, and we're done letting you do that to us.
I couldn't agree more, actually. I couldn't agree more. And I'm pretty sure that's where Prince William's head is at. Charles, he's a bit more on the fence because he fundamentally wants to believe that he's not going to be estranged from his son for the rest of his life. But Megyn Kelly, absolutely loved that. Host, of course, of the brilliant Megyn Kelly Show, which you can find on SiriusXM, YouTube, and as a downloadable podcast. Megyn, thank you. We will speak next week.